Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Saturn in the third house in the natal chart. Now, Saturn, well, first off, I just want to start out by saying that some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the Saturn placements in the houses, and they're a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up. Well, Saturn in the third house is comparable to Saturn in Gemini, but naturally you got to blend in the zodiac sign. Saturn in Gemini in the third house can be different than Saturn in Sagittarius in the third house, as an example. Now, Saturn in astrology is connected with the career and well, if you have Saturn posited in the third house in the natal chart, your career may involve communications, some communication field, whether it's reporting or doing some journalism, writing, data or satellite communications, or even something with manual dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics. You may be very, be able to articulate these matters very well, matters pertaining to your career, people you're, dealing with, at your business, and also your career may involve assimilating and disseminating much information. You may have actually had been cognizant to some degree of what your career might be during your early education. And the career that you choose, or just your life connected with your career may impact, the relationships with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. It could also be one that's very mercurial, where it may not be overly stable. Keep in mind the third house does correspond with the zodiac sign Gemini. Um, Career also may involve doing something, with mail, working as a mail courier, as an example, doing something with vehicles, working as a driver. Now, Saturn is also connected with laborious and hard work. So if you have Saturn posited in the third house in the natal chart, that work may involve something, hard work and labor may involve manual dexterity, again, which can include auto or refrigeration mechanics. It may involve a communications field of some sort, which can include data or satellite communications, again, something with reporting or journalism. It may be you may work hard just simply with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. And during your early education, you may have worked harder than most. There may have been more responsibilities during that time than most people. On average, it could have just been, doing a lot of yard work, as an example, doing things, to help your neighbors out, and you may have been involved in more work, during that time, more so than most people on average. Hard work that can involve vehicles, as another example, driving, and Saturn in astrology also is associated with the father, older people and authority figures. So if you have Saturn posited in the third house in the natal chart, these people may figure prominently in short journeys, local transportation. These people may have played more of an integral role in your early education than most people on average, in your day-to-day communications, the conversations you have with others. They also may be people that could be very loquacious, animated, mercurial, but yet maybe superficial as well. They may be people that may be very multifaceted, be able to multitask very easily, have manifold interests, and could also be people that are very dexterous, that are about manual dexterity. Could be people that work on vehicles, work on cars, vehicles, refrigerators, as some examples. And another thing about Saturn is that it is connected with restrictions and limitations. So if you have Saturn posited in the third house in the natal chart, there may be some restrictions or limitations associated with your communications. It could be with assimilating information, disseminating it. There just may be some apprehension regarding communicating, whether it's in front of people or, some cases it just might be, certain, lack of confidence, or you may speak in a very, methodical and deliberate manner, and process information in a very methodical and deliberate manner as well. But also with short journeys, there may be some limitation or restriction connected with it. It could simply be, just not having the funds to have a vehicle, as some examples, or it could be something physical, connected, a chronic issue, the arms or the hands that may make it difficult to driving, thus indicating restriction or limitation with short journeys. And also, there may be some limitation, connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, as well. There may be difficulties with them, and being able to diversify, to be versatile, to multitask. There may be something, that may be limiting in connection with those things. Manual dexterity, and even rational thinking in some cases. Saturn in astrology is also connected with our fears, our inhibitions. It's connected with worry, apprehension. Again, if you have Saturn positive in the third house in the natal chart, there may be some fear or apprehension in connection with speaking, communicating your ideas. There may be some fear that maybe you may be ridiculed if you speak about some ideas you may have, or try to present something in a certain way verbally. Even with driving short journeys, local transportation, there may be some kind of fear or apprehension with that, more so than most people on average. And also during your early education may have been a time where you were more fearful for whatever reasons it might be. And so another thing is that there may be some fear in some remote cases in connection with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, which could obviously encompass, a lot of reasons, whether the situation may be contentious with them, or it could just simply be, being apprehensive, say, going over to a neighbor's place to ask for some assistance. There may be some fear in connection with those things, one way or the other. And another thing about this as well, Saturn, is connected with sorrow, despondency, and there may be more sorrow than average, connected with some kind of gossiping or slander one may have had to endure about his or herself. It could be matters pertaining to siblings, cousins, neighbors. Uh, Maybe it's just connected with lack of persistence. You know, um, this is the house of Gemini. It could be also, associated, with communications in general, the rational thinking, even vicariousness. Again, the fact that this is associated with the zodiac sign Gemini, it could be, just through superficiality, just not, skimming the surface on matters. This is where sorrow may take place. It could be more, it could be connected with short journeys or local transportation, some short trips you may have taken. Now, Saturn in astrology is also connected with responsibilities. So if you have Saturn positive in the third house in the natal chart, there may be more responsibility associated with siblings, cousins, neighbors. It could be something where you might have to, maybe going over to a neighbor's house to sit for a child or something, or take care of their yard, or look out for mail, when they're on vacation, as some examples. It could also be, to really to exposing even hidden, um, adversaries of the less dominant parent. Keep in mind that the third house is the 12th from the fourth house. And it could also responsibility just to general communication, assimilating and disseminating information, things associated with manual dexterity, again, which can include auto and refrigeration mechanics. And also too, and you might have had more responsibilities during your early education, more so than the average person. Now, Saturn in astrology also is associated with chronic issues. So Saturn posited in the third house, there may be chronic issues, associated, with the hands, the arms, the nerves, breathing, the lungs. Chronic issues may impact your situation as far as driving goes, short journeys, local transportation. You may have had more chronic issues during your early education, more so than most people on average. It could also affect, doing things associated with manual dexterity, again, like auto or refrigeration mechanics as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.